These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This verse, like I said, has at least 6 difficulties. I'm going to demand that the text makes sense literally. And I'm going to think of every objections to what the verse says to bring out the hidden message. Number 1, you tell me these are the offsprings of Noah, and I'm expecting you to list his offsprings. But you go on to other materials before coming back to list his offsprings. Put that in your spirit. Number 2, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. Why repeat his name? In English, if you don't repeat the name, you have to say he. In Hebrew, you don't have to put a he. Very often, you have just an adjective or a verb without a repetition of the subject. So the repetition of the name also seems extra. It's really not. It also needs some explanation. Now let's explain these 2 difficulties. These are the products of Noah. These are the things he produced. What are the products of Noah? Noah. He himself is his own product. God creates man and leaves a big blank and says you should fill it in by your choices, by your life. Create your own character, your own history, your own record. This is what Noah produced. Noah. And what he produced was that he was righteous, he was pure, he was complete, and he walked with God. Notice, Noah's spiritual achievements are mentioned before his children. Your spiritual achievement is more important than the children you bring into this world. You are not born a tzaddik, a righteous person. It's a matter of your own effort. You can do it. The opportunities are given to you. And if you exert the effort, that's what you will accomplish. Now we're told Noah was a righteous man. He was perfect in his generation. There is no word for perfect in Hebrew. The word tamim means pure, complete. Perfect is an English concept. And there is no word, I don't think, in Hebrew that carries that concept. So Noah was a righteous man. He was perfect in his generations. Here we have a contradiction in concept. Let me bring it out by simple example. How tall is Akwete? Akwete is 6'2" in New York. Either Akwete is 6'2" or he isn't. Are you telling me when Akwete leaves New York, he's not 6'2"? A height does not depend on being at a certain location. Righteous, pure, complete. All these terms are absolute terms. How can you take an absolute term like righteous, pure, complete, and then say in his generations? It's a contradiction in concept. So this statement can be read in 2 ways. Number 1, yes, righteous, pure, complete are absolute terms. And in his generation means even in his generation, in spite of, he managed to be righteous, perfect, pure, complete. So this is adding to Noah's praise. Put that in your spirit. Or, yes, righteous, pure, complete are relative terms. If Noah had been in another generation with great people, he would not be so outstanding. So this reduces his praise. Now we are told Noah walked with God. What information is this supposed to give us? This is not the first time this phrase is used in the Torah. We've seen it in Genesis 5. All the days that Adam lived came to 930 years, and he died. Seth came to 912 years, and he died. Enosh, 905 years, and he died. Kenan, 910, then he died. Mahalalel, 895, and he died. Jared, 962 years, then he died. Verses 22. Enoch walked with God 300 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Notice that Enoch is the only one mentioned here that he walked with God. All the days of Enoch came to 365 years. How does his relate to the previous generation? 365? Does it seem he's getting shortchanged a bit? 600 years what? Everybody lived about 890, but Enoch's life was cut short at 365. Now, if you argue that lives got short around that time, all you have to do is continue, and you will notice in verse 27, Methuselah lived 969 years. All the days of Methuselah came to 969 years, then he died. So how come Enoch missed out on about 600 years? Now let's take verse 22 again. Enoch walked with God 300 years, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch came to 365 years. Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more, for God took him. You already told me Enoch walked with God in verse 22. Why repeat it again in verse 24? Why the emphasis? You thought I forgot it so quickly? Clearly, repeating Enoch walked with God in verses 24 is to tell us why God took him. A fact, when stated in the Torah, is usually a reason for the next fact or the explanation of the next fact. Somehow, walking with God is the reason he lost 600 years. So when the text tells us Noah walked with God, we have to pay very close attention because we may have another Enoch here. My critic in Las Vegas will say, walking with God is not such a bad thing. Well, it's not. But what does God prefer? In Genesis 17, we are told, and Abram was 99 years old, and God appeared to Abram, and he said to him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be perfect. Now, how does this compare with what the Torah says about Noah? Noah walked with God. Abraham walked before God. Can we, on the basis of the text, find some indication as to which is superior, walking before God or walking with God? Yes. God said to Abraham. God commands Abraham. I have God on record. Walking with God, the Torah testifies Noah did that in the context of praising him. So it's obviously something good. But God is not on record as to say this is what I want. With Abraham, he's on record. I am telling you this is what I want. This is at least an indication that walking before God is superior. In summary, this is what we have so far. These are the products of Noah, what he created. He created his own spiritual character. And the repetition of the name Noah means he created himself. We said there's a contradiction between righteous, whole, pure, complete on the one hand, and in his generations on the other hand, because righteous, whole, pure, complete are absolute terms, and in his generations seems to make it relative. It can be looked at as adding to his praise or reducing his praise. We looked at walking with God, which we said since Noah walked with God and lost about 600 years, it's clearly at least equivocal to walking with God. Is it good or bad? And with speaking to Abraham, God is on record that he should walk before him. And with this, we begin to see a little bit of weakness with Noah. And I'm going to follow that thread, looking for weaknesses in the text about Noah, so we can justify the one who says, in his generation, is to be used to reduce his praise. And in doing that, we'll come back to an amazing conclusion that I'm thinking maybe you haven't taken time to look at.